chapter 30, as we will continue with the series.
You sent me an email?
Huh?
You sent me an email?
Nah, I'm gonna just read these. These are, I'll be over looking for stuff, so I kept it simple this time.
Okay. Isaiah?
Yeah, chapter 30. So we continue in the book of Isaiah, the prophecy of the destruction of the nations that were before Israel, that were threatening Israel, or that posed a threat to Israel at some point or another. And the Most High God is exacting judgment upon these nations. And he's relaying it through the prophet Isaiah, and letting the prophet Isaiah basically know the things that's going to happen to these nations, so that they could relay it to the nation of Yisrael. But Yisrael is already so far gone into whatever folly they're into that they can't even take heed to the words of the prophet. And we will begin to see some of the actions that now we in the kingdom of Judah, in the southern kingdom. Northern kingdom is probably gone by this time already, right? The Assyrians already took them into captivity and they're already gone. Now we're dealing with the southern kingdom, and we're dealing with the prophet Isaiah, and the prophet Isaiah trying to warn the children of Israel about depending on other forces other than the Creator.
Right.
Relying on other people other than relying on the Creator of heaven and earth.
Amen.
And this is very important, not only back then, but today. As we see with everything that's happening in the world, that when you, let's get into the lesson. Read on, my brother.
We're in the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Woe to the rebellious children, saith Jehovah,
Torah.
that take counsel, but not of me,
Uh-huh.
and that form projects, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin.
It said, woe to the rebellious children, saith Jehovah, that take counsel, but not of me. Everything that we do, every step that we take,
Right.
like your poem said, every hour of the day, we're supposed to think of Yah. Every movement that we make, everything that we do in life, we're supposed to put Yah in it.
Right.
And weigh it up against Yah.
Say that again.
Right? So the Most High God is saying, you know, you take counsel, but you don't take counsel of
From
me.
me, right.
He's talking to the children of Judah, because they're thinking about everything else instead of sitting down and thinking that, what will Yah say about this? And a lot of times as Israel, we don't think about what will Yah think about what I'm doing at this moment.
He said, my people don't consider.
Yeah, it said they don't consider. They die for a lack of knowledge.
Right, that's right.
Right? So it says here, and that form projects, but not of my spirit.
Right.
You forming something and the spirit of Yah is not in it, it's not going to prosper. Oof. People work, go to school, do all types of stuff, get all types of degrees, and then you turn your back on Yah. And then you think that Yah is going to make your life easy because you're making all this money and you feel like you're prospering. But you have a weak spirit, and eventually Yah will catch up to you.
That's right.
Money is not everything. Money is not wealth, you know. Money is wealth in the physical sense, right? Wealth in the physical sense. It says, they said, money is a defense. He said, and wisdom is a defense. He said, but the excellency of wisdom is that it delivers you from death. The creator of Apple, what was his name, Mordecai?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Had all the money in the world, but he got pancreatic cancer. You think he wouldn't have given all that up just to live a little bit longer or to live out his life? So money's a defense. You know he got all the best doctors. He got all the best treatments, but that could not save him.
Right.
Wisdom is a defense against all things. And life is true wealth. So we can make projects and not involve Yah in it, or not involve the spirit of Yah in it, that they may add sin upon sin. Because every time you don't consider Yah, you're adding sin upon sin. You're going and you're walking in your own path. It says here that walk, go ahead, read.
That walk to go down into Egypt.
Into Egypt.
And have not asked at my mouth.
Uh-huh.
to take refuge in the stronghold of Pharaoh,
Uh-huh.
and to take shelter in the shadow of Egypt.
And to take shelter in the shadow of Egypt, to take refuge in the stronghold of Pharaoh. When I was reading that in Hebrew, it had the beginning of my son's name, Ma'oz. Ma'oz, his name is Uzziel, stronghold or fortress of Yah. You know what I mean? Oh, Yah is my fortress, or Yah is my stronghold. So it said to take refuge in the stronghold of Pharaoh and to take shelter in the shadow of Egypt, meaning you go down there. Now, Egypt to us, Egypt doesn't mean bondage, but Egypt to Israel is synonymous with bondage because that's where we served 400 years. So why would you go back to the people that had you under captivity for help? So your projects and your thoughts, because now you go on to war and you see that the Assyrians is threatening you, but you want to go back to the people that had you oppressed and that the Most High God destroyed. So your thoughts are not my thoughts,
Right.
and your projects are not of me. So therefore, the Most High God has something to say. You trust in the shelter of Egypt as if they are anything, and I destroyed them. So think about that. Yah destroyed them, but you running back to them
Right.
for
For
shelter
help. Yeah.
and for help. So now let's look at it in these days. If Egypt is synonymous to bondage for the nation of Yisrael, when we came over here in shackles and in chains, this captivity
Right.
is the second Egypt that the Most High God is speaking about. So when we run down to help
Okay.
to them, right, we jeopardize our own lives against them and against the Most High God. We shouldn't be running down to Egypt for help.
No, sir.
We should be solving problems within our own communities.
Teach us.
Because you know what Egypt do? Break up families.
Yep.
You know what Egypt does? Egypt don't care about you. And you could call Egypt and you end up going to jail. That's what they do. They said, y'all can't solve it and we can figure out all of y'all wrong. You called talk thinking that you was going to get somebody in trouble. They don't care about you. That's Babylon. That's Egypt. That's what they do. So we must put our trust in the Creator. We must always look to the Creator and ask the Creator to deliver us out of all situations. Let us go.
Therefore shall the stronghold of Pharaoh turn to your shame, and the shelter in the shadow of Egypt to your confusion. For his princes are at Zoan, and his ambassadors are come to Chanes. They shall be all ashamed of a people that cannot profit them, that are not a help nor profit, but a shame and also a reproach.
You're going to be ashamed running to them. The Most High God already broke them down, so why you running down to them? Just like you're going to be ashamed when you run down to these people.
That's right.
And there's going to be no help to you. There's going to be no help to you. You know why? Because your thoughts and your projects was not of Yah. It was of your own mind. See, a Yah mind don't work like that. A Yah mind is always going to resort to Torah.
Right.
Let's look at Torah. Whether it's beneficial to me or not, you have to weigh everything against the Torah. You have to filter everything that you do through the eyes or through the Torah to see whether or not you're moving in the righteous manner. You can't move your own way. So the children of Israel at this time, they're scared. They're scared. And they're trying to figure out what to do. But they're running to the enemy for help. When Yah has always been there. And this is what the Most High God is saying. And what he's speaking through the prophet Isaiah to tell the children of Judah, they wrong. And showing it to their face. Let us go.
The burden of the beasts of the south. Through the land of trouble and anguish, from whence come the lioness and the lion, the viper and the flying serpent. They carry their riches upon the shoulders of young asses, and their treasures upon the humps of camels, to a people that shall not profit them.
So now we're talking about the burden of the beasts of the south. Egypt is south to Judah, right? So now it's prophesying against them. Or it's prophesying as to what we're doing with the Egyptians. It's saying, through the land of trouble and anguish, from whence come the lioness and the lion, the viper and flying serpent, they carry their riches upon the shoulders of young asses. So that's twofold when it's talking about through the land of the lion of the lioness, right? The viper and the flying serpent. Because Egypt at that time, not so much in these times, but during that time, Egypt had more greenery, had more animals. So lions and lionesses and vipers and snakes, I mean, they're still kind of prevalent in Egypt, the snake part, but the lions are not as prevalent, right? But during those times, that was prevalent in Egypt, right? So it's saying you will take the risk to go through this land, right? With so much danger, with all your goods. And the lion and the lioness could be waiting, right? Just to go and depend on them. Now, this is twofold, like I said. The Egyptians also had, the lion in Egypt meant strength, virility, masculinity, all the things that personify strength. So they worship a lioness by the name of CHOKMAH, right? She had the figure of a woman, right? But the head of a lion, a lioness, right? And it says here, in Egyptian mythology, CHOKMAH, also spelled Sakhmet or Sekheth or Sakheth, among other spellings, is a warrior goddess as well as goddess of healing. She is depicted as a lioness. She was seen as the protector of the pharaohs and led them in warfare. Upon death, CHOKMAH continued to protect them, bearing them to the afterlife. So it's twofold, because you're also dependent on the gods of Egypt. Dig what I'm saying? Because you're going down to them for help, and the Egyptians worship these gods.
Bring that up.
CHOKMAH used to have the sun disk on her head, and it said that she was the daughter of Re, right? She was the daughter of Re, which is the sun god. So all these things come into play. Then we talk about the viper or the cobra, right? Most likely the cobra. It was translated viper, but in Egypt, I believe you have more so a cobra than a viper. And then it says in Egyptian art, the cobra often represented the goddess Wajet. Wajet was a protective deity and daughter of the sun god Re. Her job was essentially to help protect Egypt and the cosmos from chaos, the ultimate evil in Egyptian mythology. So when you look at most Egyptian royalty,
That's right. They had the cobra.
when you see the crown that they wear on their head, it has the symbol of the cobra, and that is supposed to be a protector. So when we think about it's symbolism in the chapter, right? Because the prophet Isaiah knows all this, that the Egyptians worship all these different animals, and they put them as god and goddesses, right? So you going down dependent on that, rather than dependent on the Most High God. That's why I say it's twofold. It's twofold. Let us go, my brother.
Verse 7. For Egypt helpeth in vain and to no purpose. Therefore have I called her arrogancy that sitteth still.
That sitteth still. He said, I call Egypt arrogancy that sitteth still, because she can't do anything. It was already, when Egypt was at its height, the Most High God destroyed them. Now they're at their weakest. What you think is going to happen? And you're dependent on them? And God told us not to go back to them? Don't look back to Egypt? It cost our fathers their lives when they said they wanted to go back to eat in the flesh pots in Egypt. God said, yeah. It said everybody from 20 years old and upward going to leave out of here. Just for thinking that way. That's the God that we serve. Let's go.
Now go, write it before them on the tablet and inscribe it in the book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever.
Forever and ever. Write it on a tablet. That's why we read it today. So that should be for the time forever and ever. What? Don't go back to Egypt. Egypt is any captivity, because this is the second Egypt. It's any captivity that we've been to. Don't go back to them for help. Put your trust in Yah.
Amen.
Let us go.
For it is a rebellious people, lying children, children that refuse to hear the teaching of Yahweh.
Oh my goodness, for it is a rebellious people, lying children. Children that refuse to hear the teaching of Yahweh. We refuse to hear the teaching of Yahweh. God tell us to go right, we go left. God tell us this is the way that you operate, and we question everything that Yah has to say. You can't question what the Most High left here on record. That's why I always say, you're not arguing with me, you arguing with God.
That's right.
Whether you hear or forbid, God is going to get his glory.
Amen.
Let us go.
That say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things. Prophesy delusion.
You get mad when somebody tell the truth. You don't want to hear the truth.
Right.
You want people to lie to you. You want TD Jakes. You want Creflo Dollar. Like I told y'all earlier today, we ain't going to be big. God said he bringing back a remnant.
Right.
A remnant is a small section of the whole. So if you're worried about how people going to feel because you talking, every time if I say, brother, Jesus didn't exist, or if I said Jesus didn't exist, they ain't going to like it either way.
That's right. It is what it is, right? I got you.
They ain't going to like it. So I'm not going to try to dice it up. It's one way or the other. He didn't exist. And let me show you how he didn't exist. I might be a little bit more spirited, but anybody who loved Jesus for 55 years is still going to feel like you hurting them. But I can't tell you no other. So when the prophets came and tell people, they didn't come and tell people nicely. Because it said that the children of Israel were rebellious. So if you're worried about who's going to like it and how we present it and how we put it forth to people, that's not sincerity. You got to do it with the spirit that Yah gave you. You can't do it with any other spirit. With the spirit that Yah gave you. That's the way you bring the word of God, because Jeremiah was scared about the people's faces and about how he was going to be able, for my lips are uncircumcised. He said, who made the tongue? He said that to Moses, didn't he? He said, I stammer. He said, well, who made the tongue?
Right.
Said, don't worry, Aaron is here. He's good. He could talk. You'll be unto him like a God, and he'll be your prophet. God told Jeremiah, go out there and tell them people. And he had to go out there with faces of flint. They spat on him. Isaiah had to walk around naked. Had to go prophesy. Jonah went left. God told him to go right. The Most High made things happen to him, and he had to go right. It's not nice. When you bring in God's word, it's not nice. People are not going to like it because they want to hear smooth things. They want to hear Creflo. They want to hear TD Jakes. They want to hear the smooth guy that's selling them lies. Let us go.
Get you out of the way. Turn aside out of the path. Cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word, and trust in oppression and perverseness, and stay thereon. Therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in the high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant.
Says you trust in oppression and perverseness. You trust in the people that got the knee on your neck.
That's right.
Get you, bro. Let's go. Here we go.
That's what Egypt was to us.
That's right.
The knee on the neck. I can't breathe.
At all.
Back then and
now.
today. That's why the Most High God was upset with them. And why he sent the prophet Isaiah. He said, you going to trust in them?
That's right.
Knee on the neck, I can't breathe. Chokehold around your neck, I can't breathe. That's Egypt. Shot 41 times.
Yep.
Sleeping in your house. Come in there, shoot you. That's Egypt. And you trusting them? You calling them against your brother?
Yeah.
You calling them against your sister? That's what you do? That's where you have to start. You got to start with yourself.
Right.
And you have to self-analyze. So the Most High didn't want it then, and he said, write it on the tablet so that they could read it forever and ever. That means to this day, don't do it. Stop going to them people for help. Costing your brothers and sisters their lives.
That's right.
Let us go.
14. And he shall break it out Break it as a potter's vessel is broken. Break it in pieces without sparing, so that there shall not be found among the pieces thereof a sherd to take the fire from the hearth, or to take water out of the cistern.
That's what he's going to do to Egypt. He's going to shatter it to where he becomes like powder. To where it's like a cistern that can't hold no water, like a vase. Can't hold no water because it's broken, it's powder. Since you depend on them so much, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to them. And is the real Egyptians in there right now? No.
Nope.
You got the United Arab Republic. A bunch of Arabs. Those are not the original Egyptians. Egyptian people were people of color. Were darker people. Yeah. Those are not the originals. So the Most High did away with them because we depended on them so much. The Most High God showed us that they were nothing. Turned them to powder. Turned them to dust. Let us go.
For thus saith Yahweh God, the Holy One of Yisrael, in sitting still and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, and ye will not.
You hear that? It says, in sitting still and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Meaning, still yourself. Wait on God. Don't go down to them.
Teach us.
Trust in Yah. Still yourself. Today, the Most High God sent the angel of death. It came by the name of COVID-19. What are we supposed to do? Still yourself. Sit down. Wait on God. In quietness and in confidence. You got to trust in Yah that he's going to deliver you. I put everything before Yah. If I feel like something is coming to harm me, I put it before Yah. In some way, shape, or form, Yah delivers. You don't see it coming, but Yah delivers. And that's all Judah had to do. Right or wrong, Rabbi? All they had to do was wait. They might have been saved from that. But they didn't want to wait. They wanted to go down to Egypt. Because even after this, as we go on, we're going to see that good kings lost their lives because of what they was doing and not putting their true confidence in the Most High God. Josiah lost his life because he interfered. He tried to get involved. And the Most High God said, in sitting still and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. That's what we have to do sometimes. Quietness, confidence, the Most High God will strengthen us. Let's go.
But ye said, no, for we will flee upon horses. Therefore shall ye flee. And when we will ride upon a swift, therefore shall they that pursue you be swift. 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of one. At the rebuke of 5 shall ye flee, till ye be left as a beacon upon the top of a mountain and as an ensign on a hill.
Yeah, you're going to go out there. God is not going to be with you. And one is going to cause 1,000 to flee. Right? And that's how Josiah lost his life. He went out there messing around with them Egyptians. God didn't tell him to do that. And they sent them back in a body bag. Because what? The Egyptians was coming to help the Assyrians against the Babylonians, I believe. I think it was the war of Nineveh or it was one of those wars. Or Carchemish. Said the battles of Megiddo and Carchemish. Following the defeat of the Assyrians at the hands of the Babylonians in 612 BC, Ashurbanipal III, the last king of Assyria, called on Egypt to support him against the rising superpower Babylon. So even though we go looking for Egypt, all the people we go looking for eventually turned on us. Because now the Egyptians is coming to help the Assyrians. So perhaps realizing the threat of Babylon to his own kingdom, Pharaoh Necho II, the recently crowned king of Egypt, led his army along the way of the sea to assist the king of Assyria in a final showdown against the Babylonians. King Josiah of Judah foolishly tried to bar the Egyptian king's way at Megiddo and was killed at the Battle of Megiddo in 610 BC, before the Common Era. The delay resulted in Assyria being soundly defeated by the Babylonians. Pharaoh Necho returned to Egypt, deposing Josiah's son Jehoahaz en route and installing his brother Jehoiakim, 610 through 598 BC, as a vassal king in his place to act as a buffer against Babylon. So don't interfere, and quietness is your strength. Stand still and watch the works of the Most High God. There was no reason for Josiah to get involved in that, but he went and got involved, and he lost his life. Let us go.
And therefore will Jehovah wait, that he may be gracious unto you. And therefore will he be exalted, that he may have compassion upon you. For Jehovah is a God of justice. Happy are all they that wait for him.
What?
Happy are all they that wait for him.
And therefore, now we're talking about God's mercy. Right. And therefore will Jehovah wait, that he may be gracious unto you. Yah always waits for us. And therefore he will be exalted, that he may have compassion upon you. For Jehovah is a God of justice. Happy are all they that wait for him. Read on.
For O people that dwell in Zion at Jerusalem, thou shalt weep no more.
Thou shalt weep no more. So now Yah is telling us of the happiness to come. Of the happiness to come. Let us go.
He will surely be gracious unto thee at the voice of thy cry.
The voice of your cry.
When he shall hear, he will answer thee.
But we got to cry out to Yah. You can't hold it back. You got to cry out to Yah so that God can see your anguish. If we don't cry out, God don't know that we in pain. We got to cry out. Let us go.
And though Jehovah give you sparing bread and scant water, yet shall not thy teacher hide himself anymore.
That's right.
But thine eyes shall see thy teacher, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. When ye turn to the right hand and when ye turn to the left, and ye shall defile thy graven images overlaid with silver, and thy molten images covered with gold. Thou shalt put them far away as one unclean. Thou shalt say unto it, get thee hence.
You hear that? You know who our teacher is? Yah.
Amen.
It says, thou shalt weep no more. He shall surely be gracious unto thee at the voice of thy cry. When he shall hear, he will answer thee. And though Jehovah give you sparring bread and scant water, yet shall not thy teacher hide himself any more. This is the time to come. Yah will not hide himself anymore. It's double-fold because it's speaking about the defeat of the Assyrians, right? But it's also speaking about this time to come. It says, but thine eyes shall see thy teacher, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk ye in it.
Right.
The Most High God is going to guide our paths. It says, when you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left, the Most High God is going to make us to walk in the straight and narrow. It says here, and ye shall defile and ye shall defile thy graven images overlaid with silver, and thy molten images covered with gold. Right. Jesus, baby Jesus, grown-up Jesus, Jesus on the cross,
Jesus in the manger.
Jesus in the manger. All of them. You see, it don't sound pretty, right? But is he a molten image? Is he a God that people worship? I can't nice it up. The prophet, when the prophet came and talked about Baal Zephon and all of them, did he come nice? Nope. Auntie, did he come nice?
Nope.
What did he have to tell the people? Who was it? Elijah with the competition with the prophets of Baal? He said, perhaps he's musing.
Perhaps he's asleep.
Perhaps he's asleep.
On a journey.
On a journey. Did he do it nice? Was it a nice thing? Come on, man. It's not going to be nice. It's not going to be nice when you tell people it's not God. Get rid of it. Dump it. Throw it in the trash. The New Testament is garbage. It don't sound nice. Whether I said, you know, the New Testament, you know, it's a book of fallacies, and you know, it really does. It has some truths in it. You're still offended.
Right.
Nice it up. Do it this way. Do it that way. It's garbage. Ashpa. Basura. Let us go. I know I'm going to get calls on this one, but I got to speak the truth. You know what I mean, Rabbi? Got to speak the truth.
And he will give the rain for thy seed wherewith thou sowest the ground, and bread of the increase of the ground, and it shall be fat and plenteous. In that day shall thy cattle feed in large pastures. The oxen likewise and the young asses that till the ground shall eat savory provender, which have been winnowed with the shovel and with the fan. And there shall be upon every lofty mountain and upon every high hill streams and watercourses in the day of the great slaughter when the towers fall. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold as the light of the 7 days. And that in the day that Jehovah bindeth up the bruise of his people and healeth the stroke of their
So this is twofold. It's speaking about a time to come when we will be prosperous, where we will rejoice again, right? Where we'll be able to plant in our lands and enjoy our own crops, where the waters will, the ice caps gonna melt from the mountains and form streams that come down and feed all of our plants and the stuff that we planted, where the animals are gonna be happy, not gonna be starving, they're gonna eat. We're not gonna be in the straits or in the siege. Why? Because the Most High got rid of the oppressor. At that time was the Assyrians, and this time it's this place. And it says, moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun. And it says, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold as the light of 7 days. Meaning that we're going to be happy. We're going to be joyous. We're going to be rejoicing. Let us go.
Behold, the name of Jehovah cometh from far, with his anger burning and thick uplifting of smoke. His lips are full of indignation, and his tongue is as a devouring fire.
God says it, and it happens. Right. Let us go.
And his breath is as an overflowing stream that divideth even unto the neck, to sift the nations with the sieve of destruction. And the bridle that causes to err shall be in the jaws of the people. It's
a bridle that causes to err. You know, a bridle is what they put in the hook they put in the horse's mouth to guide it. When the horse is stubborn, you pull it, and it makes him pull one way or pull the other. The Most High God said he's going to put one in the nation's mouth to destroy them for what they did to us. Amen. That's the God we serve. Let us go.
Ye shall have a song, as in the night when the feast is hallowed, and gladness of heart as when one goeth with the pipe.
It says, ye shall have a song, right? As in the night when a feast is hallowed, right? So we could look at that as the feast days that the Most High God appoints, right? So when the feast is hallowed, it starts in the night. So once again, it proves that a season or a day starts when? In that night. In darkness. When the feast is hallowed, right? Is that correct? As in the night when a feast is hallowed. It's speaking about holy. I believe the word that it uses it speaks of holiness, right? Hallowed is, I believe the word for it is like holiness. Holiness. When it speaks of hallowed.
Made holy or consecrated.
Consecrated. Come on. Chag. Feast. The feast of the Most High. They start in the night. Just like a day starts in the night. Let us go.
To come into the mountain of Jehovah, to the rock of Yisrael. And Jehovah will cause his glorious voice to be heard.
Cause his glory.
The lighting down of his arm with furious anger and the flame of a devouring fire.
Devouring fire.
The bursting of clouds and the storm of rain and hailstone.
Hailstone.
Through the voice of Jehovah shall I sure be dismayed. The rod which he smote. And in every place where the appointed staff shall pass, which Jehovah shall lay upon him, it shall be with tabrets and harps, and in battles of wielding will he fight with them. For a hearth is ordered of old, yea, for the king it is prepared, deep and large, the power thereof is fire and much wood. The breath of Jehovah, like a stream of brimstone, doth kindle it.
The Most High God is going to destroy Assyria. Assur. That's who Assur is. Also spell Assur, modern Qua'at Sharquat, ancient religious capital of Assyria, located on the west bank of the Tigris River in northern Iraq. The first scientific excavations there were conducted by a German expedition, 1903 to to 1913, led by Walter Andre. Ashur was the name applied to the city, to the country, and to the principal god of the ancient Assyrians. So that's Ashur. The destruction of the Assyrians is prophesied by the prophet Isaiah. Let's run through the last chapter.
Chapter 31. Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Chapter 31, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Woe to them that go down to Egypt.
What, again? That's what it said, Chief.
Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help.
I mean, they emphasized on it twice. Woe unto you. Stop calling the people on your people.
That's right. One time. 5-0.
Let us go.
And rely on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are exceeding mighty. But they look not unto the Holy One of Yisrael, neither seek Yehovah.
They reiterate what is being spoken around in chapter 30. You look at horses, you look at all these things or whatever. You know that our salvation is not going to come in guns and all that.
That's right.
Because whenever something happens in these countries, those people go and buy out the gun store. Buy out all the ammunition. We're not winning that war. Our war is going to be won when the Most High God come and exact judgment. That's how our war is going to be won. That's why he told us to sit still and watch.
That's right.
And watch the glory of the Most High go into play. So don't be blinded and don't think that, you know, this place is going to, they have missiles that go around the corner and find you and bunker busting bombs and all that. That means nothing when it comes to the Most High God. Because the Most High God will wipe out the people. And then you got nobody to operate that stuff. That's the God that we serve. So don't put your trust in that. Don't think that you're sitting safe here. You see the civil unrest. Right. You see everything that's happening. Just like the people back then in Judah were putting their trust in the Egyptians because they saw the army. The Egyptians knew how to put on a show. Splendor and all that stuff, but their time was up. Let us go.
Yet he also is wise and bringeth evil, and doth not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers, and against the help of them that work iniquity.
God's word don't come back void. So he don't call back his word, meaning whatever he says out of his mouth, it will fulfill.
That's right.
And it won't come back void. Let us go.
Now the Egyptians are men, and not God.
What?
Now the Egyptians are men.
And what?
And not God.
The Egyptians are men and not God. Just like we are men and not God. We don't worship men. We're not supposed to put man on pet. You give people respect, but there is only one God. And he's the one we serve. We don't serve man. Why did God have to keep emphasizing this, or the prophet had to keep emphasizing this to the people? I wonder what type of people they were. I mean, they must have really been worshiping Egyptian culture. For the prophet to keep emphasizing on this. For you to say the Egyptians are men and not God, that should be understood, right? But obviously these people looked up to Egypt as some type of high social class. And they wanted to be like Egyptians. Right. Let us go.
And their horses flesh and not spirit. So when Yehovah shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall stumble, and he that is helped shall fall. And they all shall perish together.
It says, and their horses are flesh and not spirit. Meaning the Most High God got some stuff going on out here that we don't even see.
That's right.
He got some unseen forces out here that we don't even. If he says that, he said the horses are flesh and not spirit. That means there's some stuff. When who was it? It was who was it? It was Balaam, right? Was coming back with the donkey.
Yes, sir.
Right, and the donkey, boom, 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 smashing them from side to side. It said God had to open his eyes. It said, "You dumb donkey, what the heck is you doing?" It said God opened his eyes, saying he saw the angel of the Lord, right? That's with the sword drawn. There's some stuff out here we don't see.
That's right.
It's some stuff, it's a spiritual realm that we can't deciphering, we can understand. COVID-19. Come and squeeze your. I can't breathe. And I'm talking about from the virus. Shortness of breath. You don't know what's going on. You don't have no chronic asthma. You in good shape. You everything. And God come and say, nah, it's time for you to go, my boy. There's some forces out here that we cannot see. That's why he said that. The prophet said that. He said the horses are flesh and not spirit. Because God got some stuff going on out here that we don't. We got people. We got entities that protect us. And we got entities out here that go and execute the word of the Most High God. We don't know why. People think they get away. So because time has lapsed and you've committed a sin, you think you gotten away, but time belongs to God. He said 1,000 years to God is as yesterday. That's right. One day. That means he got all the time in the world. So when you think you high and mighty, he come and touch you. And bring the sin to your mind. That's the God we serve. Let us go.
For thus saith Yahweh unto me, like as the lion or the young lion growling over his prey, though a multitude of shepherds be called forth against him, will not be dismayed at their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them, so will Yahweh of hosts come down to fight upon Mount Zion and upon the hill thereof, as birds hovering.
So it says, for thus saith Yahweh unto me, like as the lion or the young lion growling over his prey. When the lion has the prey, he's not giving that up. Hyenas come, whatever, he fight them off. The lion is the young lion. They're going to fight. It says 1,000,000 shepherds could come and the lion look up at them like, what? What y'all going to do? You're not taking this from me. It says, so, though a multitude of shepherds be called for against him, will not be dismayed at their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. Meaning he is not going to shy away. And it says, so will Yahweh of hosts come down to fight upon Mount Zion and upon the hill thereof. Against who? Against their enemies. Let us go.
As birds hovering, so will Yahweh of hosts protect Jerusalem. He will deliver it as he protecteth it. He will rescue it as he passeth over.
This is the thing that we have to look forward to. And although the children of the southern kingdom of Judah went to Egypt, the Most High God is still guaranteeing salvation. That's how merciful our God is. But we keep tempting them over and over and over again to the point where the Most High God has to break us down. But he remembered the promise he made to Abraham. Let us go.
Turn ye unto him, against whom ye have deeply rebelled, O children of Yisrael. For in that day they shall cast away every man his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which your own hands have made unto you for a sin.
Every man shall cast away their Buddha, their Jesus. It don't sound nice, right? But you got to get rid of them. It's never going to sound nice. I can't nice it up, but those are idols. You got to get rid of them because there's only one God. That's an absolute one. You cannot compare him to any other. You cannot make him equal to any. So 3 and 1 is out because 3 and 1 mean that they all possess the same power. They all have the God power, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So you got to get rid of that because there's only one. Jealous God. And when we get later in Isaiah, he going to start talking bad about them other idols. And he going to talk about, and Most High going to begin to boast about who he is. When we get into the 40s in Isaiah, he going to begin to boast about he's the only Savior.
That's right.
So where does that put the man who came and died and saved the world for sin when God said he's our only Savior? Where does that put him? This is what I'm talking about. There's no way to nice it up. When the question come up, you got to answer it. And when you answer it, what you going to do? You going to mislead people? You going to say sweet words? Tender words? You got to say it the way it is. When people ask me, do you believe in Jesus? No. Well, why don't you? Well, let me go into the book with you, brother. Let me go into the book with you, sister. Let's go.
Verse 8. Then shall Ashur fall with the sword not of men, and the sword not of men shall devour him. And he shall flee from the sword, and his young men shall become tributary.
Yeah, because God works that way, right? Who was it that had us besieged? Was it the Syrians? Right? It was the Syrians, right? They had the time with the story with the 4 leprous men. That was the Syrians, right? And it says that, who was it? That was Ahaz. That was King Ahaz. Aha, right.
King Ahab.
King Ahab. And he, yeah, it was Ahab. And the people was eating, they was selling like, I believe, donkeys, and they was eating unclean animals. They was besieged. And the 4 leprous men was outside the camp. And they took a shot. And they said, you know what, we're going to die anyway.
Right.
Let's go to the camp of the Syrians and see if they give us something to eat. When they went in there, they saw that the Syrians had abandoned camp and left all the food and all the wealth and everything. It said, I believe the story said that something came in the night and affrighted them.
Yeah.
And they ran away. The Most High God. So we don't need weapons because God could frighten the enemy and they run away. We don't need weapons. It's a spiritual warfare out here that the Most High God works. That's why I said sit still and wait for him. That's what God is saying. Don't be afraid of him because I'm going to fight this war for you. This is the God that brought fire and brimstone from heaven, man, and destroyed cities with that. Come on. All he got to do is send a tsunami and it's over. It's over. New York City, gone. Tsunami. That's all he got to send. This is the God we serve. Let us go.
And his rock shall pass away by reason of terror, and his princes shall be dismayed at the ensign. Saith Jehovah, whose fire is in Zion, and his furnace in Jerusalem. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Saith Jehovah, whose fire is in Zion, and his furnace in Jerusalem, where we're going to come back and sacrifice and give offerings before this great and mighty King. Blessed be the Most High King, Jehovah.